am your host for today's event. I am Dr. Christy Murray, and I am so happy to see many of you back from yesterday. We're going to move forward to our next phenomenal dialogue. We have Miss Laura Luettger. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Well, close. Luettger. Close, but you're right there.
Joining us, she is currently the manager of trauma-informed care programs at the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, where I also work. And she's here to talk to you about how to create safe, supportive spaces where young people can feel seen, heard, and cared for, especially when life gets tough. So this is a great segue from the advocacy, because some of those issues are tough issues that are affecting you, and you all do deserve to be seen and heard and have safe spaces. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Laura to introduce herself while I pull up her presentation. Miss Laura.
Thank you, Dr. Christy. Hey, y'all. It's great to be here with you all today. I am excited to see some familiar faces. I see, yes, Sanaa. See you in the chat. We got Sanaa, Biryani. I think Talia on here too. So I'm excited to be here. I've been with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, honestly, only for about 8-9 months now, I guess. But I've been with Boys and Girls Club for the past 7 years. So I'm excited to be here with y'all today. And actually in my presentation, I'll tell you a little bit more about me. So, all right. So today, thank you, Dr. Christy, you're so good at this. Who am I? Just to give you all a little bit of insight as to where I come from, my perspective and everything. So I first actually earned my undergraduate in journalism, and then went on to receive my master's in student personnel administration. So working in higher ed, working in college and all of that. And I kind of worked my way backwards to Boys and Girls Club, a little bit focusing on educational equity, first gen students and whatnot. And so I've had experience in a lot of the different spaces, residence hall directors, I was an academic advisor, career counselor, I've done a lot of different things at BGC, and that's how I wound up here at the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington. You see my little states on the side. I've lived in all those states throughout my life. And some things that I just really enjoy in my free time, I really like reading, love my dog. And then as you're going to hear as we kind of go through this, we're going to talk a little bit about coping strategies, creating wellness and whatnot. My personal favorite thing to do when I am stressed is to run. And so identifying those strategies is something we're going to talk about here today. So we're going to go over what we're talking about. We're going to do an emotional check-in because that's what we do in trauma-informed programs. We do emotional check-ins. We're going to do a little bit of an icebreaker to kind of see where y'all are, talk a little bit about what the ideas are behind creating wellness and a space for y'all, and then we're going to end out with some reflections and closing. So pretty straightforward, but we will do this. So we're going to talk about stress. We're going to talk about the big events y'all are going through in life. Because that's why y'all are here, right? We're talking about where you're headed, what is happening, and not just talking about kind of, the transition to college, if you're going to college, or into that post-graduation workforce or military, whatever it may be. But we're going to understand how not only those events, but the other things that happen throughout your life can trigger stress. How stress is a natural part of life, but we are going to figure out a way to kind of maintain wellness in times of stress and to regularly infuse those practices in what we are doing from day to day. All right. So if I can get anyone, if I have any takers, you can either come up chat, you can drop it, come off of mute or drop it in the chat. Go ahead. How are you feeling right now? It's about 4:15, I see. And then also why are you feeling that way? I see some 7s. I love that. Got an 8 here. Lots of 7, 8. Another 8. Some 8. A lot of 8s. So we're feeling a little sleepy right now. I'm gathering. 9. Ooh, I love the 9 with the flower necklace. This is beautiful. Okay. 3 with a bucket on. Okay. We've got a 10. All right. I'm feeling kind of a 1 because I'm here with y'all. I'm pretty pumped to be here. I'm very excited. I think my day overall, just because I didn't sleep super well, I'm kind of like a 7 a little bit. but I'm excited to be here. So, anyone willing to come off mute and share why they dropped the number that they did in the chat? Why is it that you're feeling that way?
Firstly, I picked 8 just because I'm Corinne, by the way, and I picked 8 just because I went to bed kind of late last night, so I'm tired.
I feel that. I feel that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Anyone else willing to share why they're feeling the way that they're feeling today?
I can go.
Yeah.
So my name is Lanice, and I picked 8 as well because started my morning somewhat early. So, and then I came home and I had to get stuff ready. So, yeah, a little bit exhausted, but I'm still pushing. So, yeah.
I get that. I get that. Well, we appreciate you being here. So I will try to make this interactive, make sure that we're having some fun today, so that any of you who are 8s and who are a little bit tired like me, maybe will gravitate towards that one some. But go ahead, Dr. Christie, if you could next. Okay. So what I want y'all to do with this one is make sure you don't hit send. I'm going to repeat that a lot at the beginning, just because the way that this works is I want you all to, at the same time in the chat box, when I say go, you're going to hit enter. But the question is, what is stressing you out the most, the absolute most in your life right now? I want you to take a minute. You can type it in the chat, but don't hit enter until I say go. Okay? So let me give y'all a minute, 30 seconds. Once you have it, y'all can just kind of like give me a thumbs up, whether it's reaction or your actual thumb. Seeing some. All right. Okay. All right, let's do it. Go ahead and hit that enter. Planning my wedding, going back to school, college prep, the federal. All right. Being an upcoming sophomore, private pilot's license, money. Yep. AP class preparation. Okay. Yep. Things stressing out right now. New school year. Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing that. I've got bowling, the thought of my future, planning my wedding, competing priorities. Absolutely. So y'all can see here in the chat, as that all kind of came in, we all have stuff going on in our lives, right? We all have different things that might be our focus for us, different things that are stressing us out, and we're still trying to show up, right? We're all here in this space together. We're all communicating with each other. We're learning about different topics, but we do have things going on that are in the back of our mind that are probably just kind of lingering. And thank you. We had such a wide range of topics here. That was beautiful, because we're going to talk a little bit about how it's not just one thing in life that really does kind of take a toll on us. Is there anyone who wants to come off mute and share anything more about what they dropped in the chat? You don't have to, but just looking to see if anyone does want to comment on it.
I can talk.
Sure. Hey, Rihanna.
Hi. So basically, I'm stressed because I chose a lot of APs and advanced classes, and I'm trying to figure out how to because I'm not really good with time management, so just figuring out how to have enough time for each class.
Okay. So the time management piece is what's really, you're kind of maybe getting in your head a little bit about that, thinking about how you're going to do that, right? Okay. And so hopefully one of the tactics you'll see here, Brianni, is we talk about kind of that those positive statements to yourself too, so that we want to get rid of like I'm not good at or I can't. Like we want to throw those out of our vocabulary. Okay. Because we can recognize that like, hey, I need to work on this area. I need to put some focus on this area. But some of those statements that we say to ourselves, unfortunately, limit us a bit. So we're going to work on that. I got you. We're going to work on your time management. Anyone else want to come off and share anything?
I think with me, so getting my private pilot's license, I started flying in January, and I flew through May, and I took a break over the summer because I fly here to school in North Carolina. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. So I took a break over the summer, and over the summer, a lot of people around me were getting their licenses. So like I kind of feel behind a little bit, but what I live by, it's not really a race. Like everyone needs their own time to do things. So I think I'm going at my own pace, and I'm just gonna do what I need to do, study hard, and weather permitting, I'll get it soon. It's not. I'm not. It's not a competition. I'm gonna be at the same place as them anyway, so I'm not gonna try to compare myself to others. I'm gonna just do what I can do, and give my do it myself. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That I'm really glad to hear you say that. That is one of the common, pitfalls when we're talking about planning our future is we're constantly comparing ourselves. We do it subconsciously a lot of the times. And so to hear you say that you're consciously kind of being like, hey, I'm on my own timeline. I got this. That's a really great mindset to have. And one thing that I'll actually do at some point here is I'm going to drop, I have an anxiety workbook I'll kind of drop in the chat for y'all. That wasn't going to be the focus of everything, but it has some really good tools in there. And that's what I'm hearing a little bit. So I'm going to drop that in there to help y'all kind of work on some of these different things and different triggers as it relates to the future. Anyone else care to share? If not, that's okay, but.
Yeah, I can share. So right now I'm currently in my sophomore year, but technically I'm a senior by my credits, so I could graduate next year. So that's very stressful having to plan not next year, but this year, having to plan all my classes and everything. Because right now I took all my gen eds in high school, but now I'm taking genetics, orgo, and physics all in the same semester. So that's a little stressful. And then on top of that, I have all my leadership roles that I'm part of in every organization and club that I'm currently in. And then also I have practice and then work. So I think I'm stressing myself out, probably I wouldn't say I'm too involved because I feel fine with everything I'm in. I'm just stressed out for maybe my mental later on in the semester when things start to get heavy, during homecoming and finals and midterms.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. You do have a lot going on for sure. And some of the classes that you're naming too, I know that those are probably not some people's favorite classes, thinking about organic and whatnot, organic chemistry. So what I hope you focus on here too is we want to make sure, since you're going to have some really stressful times coming, is really focusing on, okay, I want to make sure I have a healthy routine. I want to make sure that I have some tactics in place, some coping tools in place, so that when it comes to that time and you start to feel those things where you're being stressed out, you can go to those tools and manage it effectively. Okay. So thank you for that. Anyone else want to share?
Hi. I'm Alani. I don't think we've met. This coming year, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This coming year, I'm gonna be in a few AP classes with people a grade above me because I came in and tested out of some classes, which is kind of nerve wracking because I was in classes last year with people grade above me, but being an AP class is a little bit different, so it's a little bit nerve wracking. And then in general the workload and stuff like that is more, and then also the expectation of being somebody younger, everybody expects you to perform higher and stuff. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's basically what I'm stressed out about in general.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is completely understandable. Trying to elevate yourself to other people's standards, making sure you're not disappointing those who you think, I've got to make them proud. Yes, absolutely. Definitely something that can stress you out. And especially when your emotions get heightened in certain times when you are stressed. Again, we're going to talk about some of those coping tools and resiliency and whatnot in here. So we'll definitely be on the lookout for that one. Anyone else care to share? Okay. All right. Can we go to the next screen, please? All right. So as I mentioned, and as some of you have actually acknowledged, is that the reality of our situation, the reality of life is that it is going to kind of look like this. There is no straight line. There is no straight path from start to finish. We're going to have ups and downs and backwards and forwards. And at some point you're going to realize I am not where I thought I wanted to be, but that's okay. And so you're going to experience this, whether it is careers, whether it is finances, relationships, family troubles. It can come from a number of different places. It can come from the federal government, as someone mentioned, that's definitely not something that I was really expecting to be stressed out by in my lifetime this much, but here it is, right? So how do we manage that? How do we manage those different anxieties and stressors? And how do we make sure too that it's not completely consuming our lives to the point where we are unable to focus or we are unable to really function. And so that's what we're going to spend a lot of this session on today. Dr. Christie, can we do next, please? So what is stress? Some of y'all might know, the basic definition of stress. And really all it is it's kind of your body's response to a challenging situation, okay? So there are, different hormones in our body, our cortisol levels go up and whatnot. Essentially, we are kind of wired for survival, right? A lot of the things that we have continued to embody as we have, evolved over the ages relate to those survival mechanisms. And so when we're encountering a stressful situation, our brain kind of says like, hey, I'm noticing that something might be up here. I want to make sure that you're okay. And so it kind of sends our body into these weird little funky places. If y'all have ever heard of the stress responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, those are different ways that your body kind of reacts to different stressful situations. But the important thing to note when it comes to stress is that there's actually a time when stress can be good for you. It is a very normal part of life, and it can come in a lot of different ways. You can have physical stressors, you can have emotional, mental, there's different ways that your body kind of reacts to whatever situation it is that you are in. And so just like with the different types of stressors, there's different ways that we can cope with these stresses. And there's going to be ways that are beneficial for one that might not be beneficial for another. And so by figuring out what those are, we're going to be able to be more productive when it comes to managing that. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there's both good and bad. And so just to kind of go through this quickly, I do want to see if anyone can think of an example for good stress. But good stress it's something that's normally short term, right? It has like an end date in mind. It's something that typically is going to motivate you, maybe you have like a big championship game coming up, right? You're energized, you're motivated. And typically it has some sort of end goal, right? So when we're talking about good stress, yes, you do get a little bit stressed out. Yes, your energy might be heightened a little bit. Your emotions might be heightened a little bit. But overall, it's going to be something ultimately good. Yes, thank you, Cassandra, in there. An interview, absolutely. That is definitely an example of good stress right there, right? We're going for a job interview. It's a job I really want. I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to have to manage those emotions. And I'm going to have to make sure that I can kind of manage that and get through it. Personal projects, a speech, performances, tests, yes, all of those, getting married, absolutely. All of those are things, planning a big event, running a race. Those are definitely things that I think the easiest way to kind of look at good stress is like, we know that it has an end goal, right? We know that we're trying to achieve something and we're being motivated to get this done. So that's awesome. Y'all absolutely nailed that. Of course, when it comes to bad stress, that is something that can be chronic. So that means really kind of never ending, right? We don't necessarily know when that is going to go away. It's something that affects your life on a daily basis, and it can be demoralizing, right? Can anyone give me an example of bad stress? What do they think bad stress is? Losing one's job, dealing with chronic illness. Absolutely. Definitely. Thank you for that. Any other examples y'all can think of bad stress? We say all the time, right? I'm stressed out. Death. Death can be incredibly stressful. Absolutely. Financial problems. Yes. Stress caused by relationships. Definitely. Sickness. Busy schedule. Especially a busy schedule when you don't know when it's going to end, right? I might be able to look at a semester calendar and say, all right, this is going to be a hard one, but I'm going to make it through. But when you are so involved in certain things and you don't have certain boundaries in place, which we'll talk about, it definitely can be a little bit demoralizing and can cause some chronic stress. Lack of job security, absolutely. Medical bills, definitely. Y'all are nailing this. DC traffic, 100%. I never know if I'm going to make it to work on time. Am I going to be late today? Who knows? Absolutely. Food insecurity, 100%. Definitely. Very stressful. All right. Thanks, y'all, for that. Next slide, please. Okay. So one of the very first things that we want to talk about when it comes to really managing that stress is we need to have some healthy routines. Okay. So when we build a strong routine, a strong foundation, that helps us manage any of the stress that comes our way and any of those transitions that we talk about, that we're talking about in life here. So what we have on the screen here are 4 different areas that really, when it comes to building that routine, need to be non-negotiables for y'all. Okay. So I want to know, first of all, can anyone tell me how much sleep y'all are supposed to be getting every night? As teenagers, how many hours of sleep do y'all think you're supposed to be getting? 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours or more, 8 to 12, 8 to 9, 8 to 9. All right, y'all are right around the 8 is like the minimum for y'all. Y'all should be getting anywhere between, I think it's like 8 to 10 hours, really. 12, I mean, if you need 12 hours, I say go for it. But y'all should be at least getting 8 hours. So structuring yourself to make sure that you have sleep. Because without sleep, a lot of the other things that we put in place kind of go right out the window. Okay. Nutrition. What do I mean by nutrition? Building, a healthy routine with nutrition. What sort of things should we be trying to do? Whole foods. What should we be avoiding? See, fitness. A balanced diet. Yep, absolutely. Balanced diet's perfect. Should we be chugging Gatorade and eating honey buns for breakfast every day? Probably not. Yep, eating breakfast. No, we should not. Right? Avoiding excessive sugar. Absolutely. Yep, all of these different things. So making sure that we're not just eating junk, maybe it's eating 3 times a day, maybe it's eating more than 3 times, but like having snacks. I'm really glad someone said something about, I think, eating breakfast, because skipping meals is something that people don't realize necessarily can really mess with your body, right? And can really mess with that, that routine. And so making sure that you're not skipping meals is incredibly important to maintaining your overall stress levels and health. Okay. What movement? What do we think I mean by movement? Yep, Dr. Christie's got it right there. Yep. Exercise, daily step goal, absolutely. Fitness, all these things, walking. Yes, anything that gets you up and moving, right? What is it that your brain creates when you get up and moving? What are those things called? It starts with an E. Anyone know what those are? It's a happiness thing in your brain. Endorphins, yes, thank you. It is endorphins, absolutely. So endorphins, definitely moving around and whatnot, builds those endorphins, help you balance stress, helps you get a little bit happier. And when you have endorphins too, you're a little bit more motivated to kind of do all those other things and to take the steps that you need to in order to maintain that healthy routine. And then last but not least, we have connection. Connection. Who can help you get healthy relationships? Yep. What is it? Hanging around family and friends. Beautiful. Yep. I don't even have to ask the question. Y'all are answering it already. Love it. Healthy relationships. Having those sorts of talks with people, talking to people you trust, laughing with your friends, making sure that you have time for other people. Okay. So ensuring that you have different types of relationships with people or healthy relationships with people and that connection, sometimes that's all you need in terms of your routines, really, make sure you're building that into your routines. Even for us introverts, I will tell you, I'm an introvert. I still need connection. I still need to talk to people. I need to talk to people I trust. I need to talk to people who I know have my best interests at heart and I know who can talk me through things. So even if you're someone who's like, I really like my alone time, Miss Laura, me too. I feel ya. I do. But also we need people. Okay. What's iron sharpening iron? Do I want to ask what that is? What is that in the?
I think it really relates to being around people that are encouraging, uplifting, and being around people who are strong and have similar type values.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you for that. My brain was just not connecting the dots right now. Yes, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Being around those same people who connect with you and those same values. Perfect. How many of y'all, now before we move on to the next slide, I just want to ask, how many of y'all think you have like a really, really solid, healthy routine already? Like everything you do, you don't eat junk food, you're exercising, you're doing, Dr. Christie's got this. I see some of these. I see Brianna's like, yeah, we could pretty kind of, so okay. All right. And that's okay. Goal of this is not to call y'all out. It's to say, hey, if you don't have that, let's make sure you do. Some days I have a good routine. Some days my routine just completely falls apart, and that's part of being human. All right, move to the next slide, please. So just to bring to light a couple unhealthy coping skills, some things, and I know, trust me, I'm guilty of all of these. Well, maybe not all of them, but scrolling endlessly on your phone to escape. How many of us do that? We're like, hey, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to doom scroll. I'm going to go through TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is that comes up. Yep. Bottling things up, blowing up in anger. Absolutely. We want to make sure that we share our emotions. It definitely can get to a point if you kind of bottle things up or push it down that it's going to come out one way or another. So we want to make sure that we're doing that in a healthy and productive manner. Skipping meals, we touched on sleeping, making sure that we're sleeping, using any sort of substances. So alcohol, vaping, marijuana, any sort of substances are all things that are unhealthy coping skills. And then ignoring the problem completely. How many of y'all do that? You're like, I'm just going to pretend that I don't have an issue right now. I'm guilty for sure. Yeah. So figuring out how we acknowledge those issues and ensuring that we're actually kind of addressing it, especially with our coping skills, is definitely important for the long run. Next slide, please. So just to touch very briefly on some healthy coping skills here too, we have talking with someone you trust, right? We talked about connection, that piece. Journaling thoughts and feelings. And in a minute, I'm going to show you kind of a whole list of all these things. But journaling in particular, I'm someone who, when I say journaling too, keep in mind, we're not talking about like fancy journaling. You can, if you want to, love it, do it, please. But what we mean really is kind of just like a brain dump. So if you're someone who can just like dump your thoughts on the page to get them out of your head, that's something that really helps you manage stress and kind of take the weight off your shoulders a little bit. Okay. Drawing, painting, music, walking, dancing, exercising, mindfulness, deep breathing, doing something kind for someone else. That is definitely connection in and of itself. And then also it is something that kind of brings you a sense of purpose too. So focusing on that sense of purpose is really important when we're talking about wellness and self-care. Next slide, please. All right, so coping skills. Oh, did I flip that one around? Okay. So what I am actually going to drop in the chat right now is I have a document that I do want you to take a few minutes here to focus on. And what this is really just a place for you to start mapping out. Sorry, sending things and talking is clearly not one of my strong points. But I sent the PDF in there. It's your self-care visual plan, okay? And really what this is just kind of reviewing, what am I going to start doing to manage some of that stress in my life, okay? So I am going to give you about 5 minutes, and then we're actually going to come back together. And so this PDF right here that Dr. Christy, thank you, pulled up for y'all to see, take a moment and I want you to think about in each area here, there's 5 different areas. And on the slideshow here, it actually lists some different ideas in the different areas, okay? That look at different coping skills and look at different ways for y'all to start prioritizing your own self and your own needs. So I'm going to give you, like I said, about 4 more minutes really. So go ahead and start. If you can't, print this or write it right now, just write it on a piece of paper. And then I'm going to ask you to come back together and then share out some of the things that you have come up with are going to work for you. Okay? Sound good? Thumbs up. Yeah. All right. And Dr. Christy, can you put up the pink slide actually?
Yeah.
Because they can even just write, if they don't have the paper, they can just write down a couple from each of these. Because those are some of your examples there. And then when you are done too, when you're like, I've hit my limit, you can also drop something in the chat and say done. We'll give you another minute. All right, I'm seeing a lot of done, so we will come back together. And then I'm going to ask for a few different volunteers to just come off mute and share some of the things, if you're feeling comfortable. What are some of the things that you either know you already do, or something you're going to try to do as it relates to the self-care?
For the emotional self-care, something that I like to do is like kind of just like listen to music, like draw, or just like read books, kind of like just a way to like focus on something else, really. That's
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else have anything? Is there anything
For the physical one,
Yes.
I play soccer and track, which is during the same season. So I would at least try to find somewhere I could take a break in between like days of me like practicing and having like games and track meets.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. And I say I like to do skincare. Awesome. Anyone else?
I can go. Actually, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. For emotional, I did words of affirmation, because I know sometimes like having like too much stress or having like too many pressures on things, you can kind of like lose yourself in that. So I think words of affirmation is a good way to just like pick yourself up and remind yourself of like the hard work that you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, words of affirmation. Words of affirmation, gratitude journals, a lot of things like that are really helpful. Lenise?
Yes. So for emotional as well, I wrote something that I used to do, but now I honestly do want to start back doing it. So it's writing poems, so I get all my thoughts out there, and it was a really nice creative way in which, eventually when I get comfortable enough with it, I can then share that with others, so yeah.
I love that. Thank you. Sana?
Okay, mine is like physical, mental, and social. So
Okay.
I go like sometimes like if I'm upset, I'll go walking with my friend, and we'll like talk about like what's going on, and then yeah, so it's like all three.
Yeah, that's awesome. That combines a lot of them right there. That's perfect. The walking, the talking to someone, feeling it out. I see in the chat I have sticky notes at my desk with positive affirmations. Love that. I see 3 hands. We'll have each of you quickly, and then we'll go to the next thing. So Hannah?
For creative and spiritual, I definitely like pray. I try and pray every night before I go to bed. And then like if I'm getting frustrated or upset about a situation, then I'll definitely like take time out of my day and pray, and then also like Bible study as well.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome. Brianni?
Well, for me personally, since my grandpa passed away, I just pray to him every like morning, or I talk to him whenever I'm feeling like sad or like upset or anything. So that's one thing that definitely makes me feel better, and it makes me feel like he's here and like I'm more connected to him.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Junie, what do you do?
Okay, for emotional, I journal a lot. Like every day, I always do that. But one thing I'm trying to work on and trying to get better at is talking to people about what I'm feeling, like what I'm going through. I don't do that. It's something I'm trying to work on.
That is difficult. If you're not someone who's comfortable with it, it's difficult. So it's good to hear that you're working on that and really, really putting yourself out there. All right, thanks y'all for sharing that. We're going to transition into kind of talking about some coping skills, and really some another facet of what self-care looks like in wellness. So we're going to talk about boundaries and resilience, and like what exactly does that mean? Go to the next slide, please. So boundaries. Boundaries are something that it's sometimes we struggle with them, right? It's a little bit difficult at times to say no. However, it is something that is incredibly important. It's something that it's important to remember that they're not walls, right? And I think sometimes we get nervous that we are putting up walls sometimes, but really they're guardrails that kind of keep us safe. When we say yes to absolutely everything or to everyone and we're helping everyone, then sometimes we end up depleting ourselves and we're not really able to show up in the ways that we would like to. So boundaries are what allow us to say yes to what truly, truly matters to us. So it says right here in that second bullet, protecting time for your priorities. It also teaches others how they can treat you, right? So if we are constantly saying yes to everything and someone knows, oh, I can just, you know what, I'm going to get London to do this because they say yes all the time. That does teach them if you will kind of give up your own self-care or kind of your own values to assist someone or to do something for someone, that teaches them that they can ask you to do that. Does that make sense? What do y'all think? What is one of the reasons that you would say we maybe say yes more than we should say no? What are some things that come up for you? Brianni?
Well, I know for me, I'm definitely a people pleaser. So, like, I try to keep the peace, and it's like if they want to do something, it's rather best to, like, for me, it's just rather best to just keep it moving and, like, not really create a big issue with it.
Yep. Serena, what do you think?
I think sometimes the fear of judgment, based on the circumstances you're under. Sometimes you might feel like you might be judged for maybe not wanting to do something, or maybe having the need to want to do something for others. So, yeah.
Absolutely, that fear of judgment. We're kind of taught that we should be there for other people, and rightly so. I definitely think it takes a community. I'm all about that. And at the same time, we need to focus on ourselves in order to be able to show up for others too. We'll do, Lenice, did you have something you want to share about that?
Yes. So my take on it, I believe sometimes we tend to do that because we think that if it is that we try to be a bit different or say no, it's us being inconsiderate and not caring about their feelings. So we always try to put people before us constantly and giving until it becomes you become a crutch to them and it becomes something seriously difficult for us to break.
Absolutely. And then that can also lead to, as we have listed here, burnout, and then honestly resentment too, and it can really impact your relationships. And then thank you all in the chat. That's beautiful. Not wanting to disappoint or upset each other, not wanting to, not wanting to be rude. Absolutely. We go to the next slide, please. And Dr. Mary, we're actually going to touch on your point right now. So first thing you need to do when we're talking about like how do you set your boundaries is we want to identify what are your non-negotiables. And so what we mean by that is, what are things that you are not willing to give up for others? And it might be sleep. It might be a certain amount of study time. It might be some sort of self-care practice that you have. So in order to really clearly define some of your boundaries, you first need to know what are my non-negotiables? What are the things that I need in my life to maintain a healthy balance? And once you know that, then you can say, hey, does this align with that value? Does this align with that non-negotiable? And that's when we start practicing that, as Dr. Christie said, respectful ways to say no, right? So things like, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now, or I don't have the capacity for that right now. I'm going to need some downtime before I can commit to that. So I'm just going to let you know that. Or that sounds great. I thank you for inviting me. I'm going to need to pass this time. Right? So those phrases in and of itself, there's nothing rude about them. It does feel a little bit uncomfortable at times, especially when you're not used to saying them. So I would encourage you all to practice them. Practice, because that is what is going to make them feel more comfortable and you'll become more used to actually saying them. And then technology boundaries as well. Do things like put your phone on Do Not Disturb. I know that we can, we can turn it off, but then also it's practicing that next step of, all right, hey, I put my phone on sleep for the night. I'm not going to answer any messages that come through at this time frame, right? So kind of disconnecting yourself from there, maybe setting certain time limits on social media and achieving those as goals as well. I don't need to sit here and scroll through Instagram because all I'm going to do is compare myself to someone else, and that's not realistic. So making sure that you're kind of putting those different boundaries in place for yourself to protect your mental well-being as well. Next slide, please. So resilience. I'm missing an I in resilience up there, but that's okay. So resilience is all about what it says right here: adapting, changing, and moving forward, right? It doesn't mean that you're never going to feel stress, because you are. It doesn't mean that you're never going to feel down. It means that despite this, you keep going, right? So I want you all to take a minute, just think about a time where you maybe had a difficult situation you faced, right? What about that particular moment helped you grow? Did it make you more patient? Did it make you more empathetic? Did it make you more resourceful, right? So figuring out what from those challenges you take and adapt it towards whatever your situation is or new situations in the future, and then turning that into a strength, really, that's resiliency, right? So it's about taking that moment and that second bullet point right there, adapting that growth mindset, where we're going to say, hey, you know what? I am facing a difficult time right now. However, I recognize that this is going to provide me with some tools to do better in the future. So this situation that I went through, it made me a better listener because I wasn't listening to the people in my life. And so I recognize that, I lost those relationships because of that. And now it's something that I make a priority in my life. And so kind of taking the challenging situations and really looking at it from that growth mindset standpoint is a really effective way of helping you build some resiliency and recognizing that, hey, challenges are going to come my way, but I'm not going to avoid them. I am going to face them head on, and I know that I am going to be successful in overcoming them. Okay. Next slide, please. So in order to really build this resiliency, there's a couple different things. These are just some practical strategies for y'all here. We talked about journaling or positive affirmations. Keeping a gratitude journal is a really great way to do this. Writing down the things that you're thankful for, celebrating those small wins, right? So maybe you didn't win the whole competition, but you know what? I created this awesome rocket for this competition and it flew anyway, and I didn't even know that it was going to fly. So hey, instead of winning the whole science fair, you know what my win is? My win is that I built this rocket ship and it flew, and that's an amazing thing. So celebrating those smaller wins as they come your way. Reframing that negative self-talk. So actually what we were talking about with Brianni right here, right? Reframing that. I'm not good at time management, but I'm still learning how to manage my time, and it's something that I'm working on actively. And then again, seeking support before crisis hits. So all of those tools that we talked about, right? So all of those different coping strategies and making sure that you're employing them, making sure that you have those connections, you have the healthy routine, so that as you're using those, you recognize, hey, I'm in a situation where I feel like I need that extra support. I'm going to reach out to one of my trusted friends or someone I can connect with to really get some additional support when it comes to this particular topic. Okay? It's about changing that mindset from I failed to I learned. And the other part of it is finding purpose in the challenge, right? So as we stated, resiliency is all about what can you take from that challenge and turn it into, this is how I succeeded. Next slide, please. All right, we're going to wrap up with this. I know we're running short on time, so I'm trying to get us here. The roadmap to success. When we talk about how we're going to get there, we already talked about how it's not linear. It will be up and down and backwards and forwards. But when we kind of think about where you want to be in life in terms of maintaining your wellness and your boundaries and self-care, it's combining these four things that we just talked about. So it's about setting those boundaries, learning how to say no, identifying and practicing your coping skills, building those healthy routines, and then also adapting a growth mindset. And so by doing these four things and really bringing them all together, you're going to be able to set yourself up to be more successful. that is going to lead to really that shift from reactive to proactive stress management. And that's going to help you really create that culture of wellness and self-care that you need in order to go from that survival mode to that thriving mode we want to see. Next slide, please. All right. So I do want to take a moment and ask, what are some things that we talked about here? If I can get anyone who is willing to come off mute or drop in the chat. What is one strategy, a new strategy that you're going to try this week? Or what is something you're going to stop doing? Maybe there was an unhealthy coping skill we talked about. What is something you're going to stop this week? And then also, if there's any shout outs that you want to give, whether it's yourself just for showing up and being here, because that is important, or maybe it's someone else in the call who said something and you're like, wow, that really resonated with me. So I just want to take a moment to give us some space to reflect and for some shout outs. So anyone willing to come off mute or drop in the chat?
I think I said I was going to, the social media thing. I'm starting my first day of school tomorrow. So I think for me, like I have trouble getting to bed on time because I'm just up doing things. So maybe if I like shut down my computer, just put my phone away, just lay down and relax, maybe I can get more rest. Because I have 8 a.m. classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I really need to be up and prepare for those. And even I fly at 8 a.m. So like when it comes to me flying a plane, I definitely want to be rested for that, for my safety, my instructor's safety. So I need to be rested and getting a routine of eating, because sometimes I go without eating, which is also not good. So getting up at a good time, make sure I get something in my stomach for my health, and get a better routine so I can be more healthy.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that. And I really love the connection you made between sleeping and flying too, because I'm sure anyone who's in a plane with you would be very appreciative if you have had a good night's sleep, I will say. For sure. I'm seeing a lot of great things in the chat from journaling. I apologize if you hear something in the background. It's my dog wanting my attention. Reframing my thoughts to be more positive. Yes, absolutely. I saw journaling. We've got shout outs to people, your mom for supporting you, your goals. Awesome. Absolutely. Shout out to my sister here, being willing to talk to people. Shout out to my roommates. Awesome. Is there anyone else who wants to come off mute? I see Denise. I see a hand. Do you want to come off mute? Or is that an old hand? Old hand?
Oh, no.
Okay.
So something that one of the unhealthy habits that I want to stop would be bottling things up and just hoping that it disappear or pretending that they're not there. And I would like to start sharing and be more open and communicating with those who care about me, that's around me. And just a shout out for everyone who shared their feelings and were open and honest about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Both my parents for shaping me the person I am today. Love that so much. That is beautiful. I'm going to pull up. All right. I am going to drop, as I said, I'm going to drop in the chat that anxiety workbook. So let me drop that quickly before I go. But if you go to the next slide, Miss Dr. Christie, I guess my wrap up is just, do we have any questions? Y'all have any questions for me? Anything that you wish we spent more time on? All right. Hopefully y'all took something away from this. And as I said, I dropped in the chat. This is just a workbook that we did actually at the Wellness Symposium that focuses on kind of, future anxiety and what comes with future planning, which I noticed a lot of y'all mention in here. So it's just a little tool for y'all. Thanks, Cassandra. I hope y'all had a great time, and thank you for having me here, Dr. Christie. It's great to see all your faces.